welcome to another episode of Recovery Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Miller. I'm a stroke survivor and grateful recovering alcoholic. Today, we're going to dive into a subject that has been one that I've been working on for the length of my stay in sobriety. And that is the power of shifting from negativity to positivity, especially in the area of believing in other people. Changing my default from thinking all people have bad intentions until they do something good to all people have good intentions and navigate the relationship should anything negative happen. Rather than thinking about how someone else's behavior and actions impact me and doubt their intentions, I have learned in my sobriety program to understand than to be understood. And this little phrase, there are more days than not that I am repeating this to myself. Repeating this to myself. What is happening? I've been repeating this phrase to myself. I don't know what we just had a misfire in my brain. I don't know what just happened. So, when in doubt, and I think that somebody is maybe not thinking about my best interests or other people's best interests, I try to turn to the idea that this person who I am doubting has good intentions. This person only has as much control as I do in life. I only have control from my head and my heart to my fingertips. And so does this other person. And I need to recognize that. It's not me against that person. We are all a part of the human race, and we all don't have a brochure for how to live perfectly. And so I am learning how to accept that idea that, okay, well, I'm learning and this other person knows what they're doing. Why are they being so nasty? That's not true. They're learning too. They're learning to navigate life too. And they're learning to figure out how to grow and be the best person the best version of them that they can be. And maybe sometimes they make bad decisions. Sometimes they're doing things because that's what they want to do. I don't know. It's not my business. It's not my business. What I need to do is understand how to navigate my relationship with that person. But I need to start with the old adage, innocent until proven guilty. That's what I need to do. I don't think like that. And when I was working, my boss used to say to me, Rachel, you have to stop thinking that everybody is out to get you, that everybody has bad intentions. And think that everybody's doing their best. Everybody's always doing their best. Okay, so this was really helpful to me. Because I did have a tendency, this is probably the bitchy side of me revealed, but I did have this default that these other people were trying to just step on me on their way to the top. That's what I thought. When honestly, they weren't even thinking about me, which might be part of the problem, but, or not. See, that's my pessimism still. But, everyone else's behavior, I used to think about how their behavior and their actions impact me. And I doubt their intentions, that they're out to get me, to do something negative to me. And that's really selfish for me to think that anything they're doing has anything to do with me, honestly. I've learned in the program to understand than to be understood. So, in that way, it's understanding, you know, here's an example. I've worked with a lot of people, more than I like to admit, that suck at their job, right? I'm sure you work with people that just suck at their job. And you're like, and it used to frustrate me. It used to make me angry. I would get so pissed off. And I I would think, how did they even get in this job? They're completely underqualified and somehow just masters of bullshitting. They come into the company, somehow they wooed somebody and said some magical, you know, bullshit stuff. They talk the talk the corporate talk, which I never really liked. I tried to swing into corporate talk a little bit because people seem to understand you better when you say these nonsense acronyms and stuff like that. But these people were masters at that. When in actuality, if you listen to them talking, they're not actually saying anything. They're just talking, it used to drive me crazy. Can you tell? So I learned in life through dealing with people like this. This is just an example, but learned by dealing with people like this that other people are only looking out for themselves. That that was my perspective. That was my opinion about what was happening. That these people are full of shit. Can you feel that negativity? It wasn't me understanding where they're coming from, which is everybody in the world is sick in some way. Everybody in the world had a childhood. Everybody in the world has challenges. Everybody, has a family that is unique. And they've had to, speaking of navigate, they've had to navigate their childhood and growing up and their relationships. There's a reason why these people are the way that they are. And I should not react to them with anger and hatred. It's not healthy for me. And that's all that matters is what feelings am I catering to myself? What feelings am I carrying around every day? Am I carrying around every time I see this person, I just get pissed off? Like, what is that doing to anyone but me? It's a story that I'm telling myself that I'm deciding to sit in. I'm choosing to sit in anger. It doesn't make any sense that I'm going to spend a minute of my life thinking like carrying anger towards somebody else. They don't give a shit about me or what I'm thinking. Wow, I just went on a tangent. But when I was young, I thought that everyone in the world was good, that everyone cared about each other just like I cared about everyone. It was learned that I need to only, that the only one looking out for myself is me. That was learned. Um, as a child, I thought everyone was looking out for me. And then over time, I learned that my family and I are looking out for me. And that has never changed. I know that there's some people who do have a really challenging family and relationship with, their parents, their siblings, and maybe in their lives the only person looking out for them is them. I get that. I get that exists in some people's lives. But in my life, the only one looking out for me, I learned, was me and my family, you know. And being an active alcoholic with this learned mindset, it was not joyful to live, you know? Like I talked about yesterday, I was crying on the inside. It was dark inside of me. It was gloomy, and going out in the world was scary because I really stopped trusting anyone. Anyone outside of my home, I just stopped trusting. Um, my family has always been a constant place of love for me and has always given me a sense of comfort, even when I felt my darkest, even when I didn't talk about it, even when I didn't open up and talk about everything and how much things hurt. I don't know that if I talked to my family back then about how much everything hurt, that they would understand, because I think I needed a professional, a therapist or something, or medication. It was not a surface level of sadness and fear. It really ran very deep. And so when I got sober, I was introduced to this ever growing network, or extended family of people in sobriety that are just like me. And that's where I started to see a flicker of hope that there are people just like I thought when I was a kid. There are people that are good and that are joyful. And I slowly began to realize that there was a solution for this darkness inside of me, this fear and doubt, and I didn't have to be in a pessimistic haze constantly. I started walking on the sunny side of the street. I started seeing where the joy was and where the hope was. And that's where I wanted to be. That's where I started walking. While I grew trust in people in my program, I began to see good in people outside of my program because I started to know what to look for. I started to believe in people, to trust in people. And now in my stroke recovery, I see it too. A great example is what I shared about yesterday in my stroke support group meeting, where everyone was smiling and joyful and truly cared about my recovery and my progress, not only as a stroke survivor, but they were clapping for me that I'm a sober stroke survivor. I mean, it's just every day that I show up and make myself available to an atmosphere of joy and hope and positivity, I start to see more joy, hope, and positivity. I realize that people are not plotting my demise. They're trying to figure things out just like me. Um, and we're all given the grace to mess up. That's why forgiveness is a thing. There is love and truth and honesty and joy in other people. And this is why happiness is a thing. If I'm always expecting the worst from people, I will rarely be pleasantly surprised. Side note. Sorry, this just crossed my mind. These people that I've given in my example that are full of shit. Well, what did I do with that? Let me like wrap up that story. What I ended up doing with my feelings about those people was I would write their name down and put them in my God box. That's what I did. And there were weeks that I put the same person in my God box every freaking day because I had to hand it over. I had to let it go. I couldn't keep carrying it with me like I did when I was drinking. And this is the conclusion of what happened with these people. Every single one of them, I'm not pulling your leg. Every single one of them that I put in my God box were let go. So it's just an example. Not I don't ever plot anyone else's demise either, okay? All I was doing was handling my reaction and making sure that I didn't have to wake up one morning and think, oh dear, I have to make an apology because I reacted really negatively to one of these people that I didn't care for. Um, so I was just managing cleaning my own side of the street. That's just what happened. And that's what happens that I continue to observe. If I don't inject myself in situations, if I don't go running to my boss or my boss's boss and say, this person is lying about this person is nasty, this person is full of shit. Um, things are going to happen on their own. Um, Other people are going to figure out that this person is full of shit. They don't need me to tell them, you know? Um, so even though I did not practice restraint a lot of times, I did share some of my thoughts with my boss about it, but he's been a good sounding board over the years, we'll just say. But okay, coming back to where we were, if you're always expecting the worst in people, you will rarely be pleasantly surprised. So give people the benefit of the doubt. This is exactly what my boss said. Give people the benefit of the doubt. And to just expand on that, embrace the bright side of people. Look for their warmth because even those people that pissed me off at work that I felt like were full of shit, they had warmth in them. You know, they were fathers and brothers and sisters, they were human beings, are human beings. And that's the stuff that I tried to embrace, but it took a lot of work. It took a lot of work, and I put their name in the God box, and then I remember that what do they used to say, they put their pants on one leg at a time, just like me. That's supposed to be a way of reducing how much somebody else intimidates you or you get nervous around them. But it really applies, I think, in general, we're all trying to figure it out. You know, we're all a student in life. And even the people that I doubt, I can still invite them to walk on the sunny side of the street with me. And I've done that a couple times too, where I've had an interaction with somebody and that person just constantly rubbed me the wrong way. I just didn't care for them. But I had an instant that I spent a little more time than I wanted, than my gut told me to, talking to this person and listening. And you know what? The person started opening up to me and talking about being a father, being a human being, having feelings and talking about what his challenges were. And from that point on we became super tight after that. Like it's available if you want it, if you're willing. These relationships can start in one place and end up where you would never imagine. But the only way that it can go in that direction is if you are able to manage this doubt, this negativity, this thought that people have bad intentions before they're even given a chance, before you even look inside and see, oh, this is their motivation. This is what drives them. Learning about other people's motivations is an incredible way of building a relationship with people, building a relationship with a person. And of course, you're going to be disappointed. Of course, you're going to be disappointed. I prefer to try my best to embrace the bright side of people and be disappointed once in a while than to constantly be pessimistic and be once in a while, um, you know, I can't think of the word, I said it earlier, be pleasantly surprised. Yeah. So my life has certainly been a roller coaster over the past 10 years, I would say. And it's been like a roller coaster with no safety bar, you know? And but that's where I find growth in having interactions with people where uh maybe it wasn't great. Maybe I was disappointed. And if I was disappointed, I can learn from that. I can't learn from anything if I'm just constantly pleasantly surprised. Oh, life is beautiful and dandy. And when things go wrong, that gives us stuff to talk about at the dinner table. It gives us stuff to talk about. And speaking of that, that's what we do in this house now is because I can't watch TV, we sit and talk uh, at the end of the day. And I think it was a little boring or awkward in the beginning. I don't think, I mean, no offense to my boyfriend, but I think that he felt the same way too because he went out and bought board games because it was just, I don't know, it was unusual to just sit and talk. And more, the more we've practiced this, the more we have to talk about. And a lot of the stuff we're talking about is growth. If I were to generalize what we're looking at and talking about in the evenings, it's growth. It's observing other people and what we've learned from them. You know, everything going on in the world. We talk about that stuff, and we talk about what we have learned from this. You know, what our perspective is on it. It's all growth. As long as we look at it through that lens, if we try to if we try to look back at stuff that we've told the kids over the years, we are able to see, especially I am, that I'm implementing all the things that I have told the kids over all these years. You know, I'm actually making it come to life and proving that it works if you work it. That's funny. That's what we say in the sobriety program. It works if you work it. But it does. It's not. I'm not talking out of my ass when I do these podcasts. You know, I'm practicing this stuff. I'm trying. You know, I'm trying, and I'm better at it if I talk about it. So that's it for today. Thanks for clicking play on this episode. And let's continue to walk on the sunny side of the street together. See what I did there? Stay positive, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.